Hi, I'm Dane. I'm a massage therapist and part of the recovery team here at Unrivaled Strength. I wrote an article recently talking about how things don't just go away, and by things I mean injuries and irritations. I find it absolutely hysterical that people will wait as long as they do. And I say people because it's not just athletes or the general population or a specific subset of either one of those. It's just across the board. People will wait a ridiculous amount of time in order to get something taken care of because they assume that their shoulder pain or their knee pain or their hip issue or the fact that they pulled a hamstring muscle, that it's just gonna go away. And the truth is that the body will do its best to heal you, but it doesn't always bring you back to 100%, and bringing you back even close to that is under the assumption that you're doing it, by it I mean the recovery process and the rehabilitation process and the re-strengthening process, you're doing that in a way that aids in that process. And that never happens. Well, I shouldn't say never, shouldn't speak in absolutes about it, but it rarely ever happens. Because when you're looking at the athletic population and those people that are training in order to compete, they're on a set program and therefore a set schedule. And they want to follow that, and they are diehard about it, and they're just going to push through because they assume that, eventually this is going to get better and I'm just going to keep training around it or keep training through it, which is just moronic. When all you would have to do is take a step back, talk to your coach, talk to your therapist, figure out how to lateralize what you're going through so that that area has a chance to recover and go through the healing process, and you can maintain strength in the other areas, and then lo and behold, you don't lose progress. But instead of taking that, say, 1, 2, or 3 weeks away, not off, stop saying that. You're not taking 3 weeks off, you're taking 3 weeks away from that one particular thing and reprioritizing other areas so that that injury has an opportunity to heal with help. Instead, you're like, well, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. And then 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you're like, oh, this is really bad now, and it hasn't gone away. In fact, it's gotten way worse than it was. Can somebody help me because I have a competition in 2 or 3 weeks, and I can't put my arm up overhead, and I'm an overhead athlete? What the hell were you thinking? How did you not prioritize your performance 6 months ago? And then, taking in the general population, a lot of them have this mindset. I don't get nearly as irate about this, but they have a mindset that they don't do things that are nearly as difficult or as taxing or as strenuous, and there isn't the same level of necessity for their function because, they're not competing. And as long as they can, feel a little bit better, look a little bit better, move a little bit better, then, they're happy. So if there's a little bit of knee pain that goes along with that when they go up and down stairs, okay. If there's a little bit of shoulder pain when, they pick something up or they get groceries out of the car, or they pick up their kid, play with their kid, go about their activities of daily living, then they tell themselves that there are all these other benefits that are happening from working out, say even if it isn't with a coach or a personal trainer, it's like on their own. And they're happy about those, so they'll take 1 or 2 things that have bugged them, especially if those 1 or 2 things are areas of the body that have bugged them before, and it's only a little worse now, or it's a little more frequent now, or it's happening with a couple of additional movements or activities that they didn't have before. And until it gets to a point that it has persisted for so long that finally they're like, God, I just want an easy fix on this. I want the big guns. Give me a cortisone shot. Give me surgery. Give me something. And I wish with that population that what happened was you could instill the mindset from the very beginning that the areas that come up during their workouts, such as an old shoulder issue, or a previous knee injury, or a newly occurring hip irritation, that they should look at fixing and healing those previous injuries and strengthening them in the same way that they are training or working out for the effect of looking better, moving better, feeling better. Because if that's a whole system approach, then as soon as those things come up, it's the same way as saying, like, all right, you've worked on your hip mobility and your ankle mobility, and now you can get a full range of motion in your squat. We're going to progress you to a goblet squat, and now we're going to progress you to a light barbell squat. Like, those are your progressions. It's the same thing with the healing. Like, hey, we're going to work on your mobility, and when it's time and we get to a movement that sometimes gives you issues, now we're going to start to incorporate some massage, we're going to incorporate physical therapy, we're going to incorporate your own self-care, soft tissue work, or mobility work, because you have new demands, and those new demands are placing new stresses on areas of the body that may have been previously injured or are currently underdeveloped or weak from lack of use. So once we get to that point, now we're going to start to address that, and you're going to just take this other piece of the training component and put it in place. So, all right, there might not be any massage that's going on. There might not be any physical therapy or chiropractic care that's going on. You know, got this nice little triangle of care that's going on over here. And those aren't a pressing matter. They're important and they are helpful, absolutely, from the very beginning. But you get to a point where you're going to stagnate. I won't call it a plateau, because it's not like a training plateau where you have to adjust things, but you are going to stagnate, and you have to start incorporating those differently, or more often, or just in a more frequent alternating way, so that you can take care of the limitations that you have as they arise. And I wish that that was just put in the mind of the general population from the very beginning, so that they understood when they got to a certain point, they're not just changing from a dumbbell press to a barbell press. Now they're going to be looking at the different stresses on the body as they get stronger and as they get more functional and as they get better, on how to not just develop further, but prevent the backslide that can happen, because they do have limitations, they do have mobility issues, they do have weaknesses and previous injuries. And those have to be addressed in a multi-factor way. And that's why, like, you have the little triangle over here. You got your physical therapy and chiropractic and massage therapy, and in the center of it is your athlete or personal training client, and then around that whole thing is the concept of strength. And you can't fill out strength without that triangle on the inside, and there's no point of having the triangle if there's no one in the middle of it, so it's very centered on that person. Athletes, though, are some of the most frustrating individuals to get them to take care of themselves, because if you had this spectrum, and on one end totally devoted to recovery and taking care of themselves, on the other end totally devoted to just kicking their own ass and trying to get better, they're way over here, like 95% of the way over here. And they're like, well, I'm going to stretch a little bit, or I'm going to take a day off. And like, this blows my mind. Like, well, if it hurts, like, somehow you get this lump category of, if it hurts, it's working. And that goes for the training, that goes for self-care, that goes for stretching, that goes for massage. I mean, just everything. Like, if it hurts, it's better. Like, no. I don't know how else to say that. Just no. And it's not your job to understand why, but it is your job as an athlete to understand that that's a truth. And then you go to a professional who can help you to understand how to implement that. We take care of the why, you take care of the do. And if just like drill that in your minds. We take care of why, you take care of do, and we're golden.